You may be seated.
Wow. It is well with all of us. Thank you so much for being here today. So good to be with everybody, to be in the Lord's house and God's house today, and to be with my brothers and sisters, all my brethren and sistren gathered here today. We're in this new world, this new kingdom, this new land, this new culture, right? And so that's what we're talking about this month. We're going to go into the culture of heart, talking about what it is, what it means to each one of us, how we can live it out more and more. It is a word I grew up with, but one that I think we sometimes still are trying to figure out, how does that work in our communities, and what kind of culture are we just to kind of living a part of someone else's culture, or are we building something new? And today I want to encourage us to build something new. Build a new culture, a new kind of way of living, right? A new kind of way. And this is like all parts of culture. And, that's where, this movement really combines all this religious stuff, but also all the things of life, right? When I think about this new culture, this culture infused with God's love, this culture where everything I do, is connected to this love of God. When I'm talking with one of you, I'm also talking through you with God, and we're connecting. When we're eating food together, we're doing it together with God, and it becomes this divine cuisine. When we're listening to music, we can get caught up, and our hearts are stirred by the emotion of it. Everything we do, when we're hearing poetry, when we're having conversations at the coffee shop, everything, right, is taken over. When we're talking about governance and how we can run our society, it's with God and love and connection of human beings together in that conversation. It's this new culture that we get to be a part of, and we've got to start somewhere. And so, this weekend, actually, I had the great experience to experience a little culture away from my kids. It's been a while. Thank you, Joe and Shane. We got to go on a date. It was our 14th anniversary, but it was like a week and a half ago. We were running camps on our anniversary, so we just kind of walked over it, and then we were like, well, we got to celebrate it at some point. I think last year we just skipped celebrating it. I think we ordered food in, but it was COVID, so you can't fully blame me. But this year we actually had an outing, and we got to see Mobile in all of its glory and all of its joy. And it was really fun. It was really great to see. And I think we need to always appreciate the cultures that we get to experience and all the different variety, right? So we went to Mobile, and we rode around on the scooter so we could see as much as we could. And we got over to the Cheese Cottage. If you haven't been there, it's really great. Great cheeses and meats and local honeys. I think, well, the honey was from Mississippi, not from Alabama, but pretty local. Different things that we got to try there, and we got to experience that. It was really nice. And then we went out to the art gallery, and we got to walk around there. And there's this one art gallery I really love. It actually has beautiful art. There's different types of cultures and different types of art, and some art really is beautiful. And anyways, I guess art's in the eye of the beholder. And this gallery, though, I think is really beautiful always. And I really enjoyed walking through it without my kids. My kids love walking through this gallery. They actually enjoy it. But it was kind of nice to not have them. I love you guys. But it was nice to be able to stand in front of a piece for more than 5 minutes and just kind of soak it in. And to see that culture, it was really awesome. And later on, we went and we saw this bookshelf. Except for it wasn't a bookshelf. We said a secret code word, and they opened up, and we got to go into this Cuban restaurant and listen to music all night. And that was really awesome. So there's this little speakeasy Cuban restaurant in the bottom of a big building. So Linda will tell you more about it later. But it was really cool to sneak in there, and there's this like bookshelf just moves out of the way, and then we were like blown away with music and culture. So it was just so great to visit and see the culture of Mobile, see the culture of this great city we live in, and see all the beauty of it. And I also started to think about this city, right? And this city, right, is this beautiful place, but what else could it be? How much more beautiful could it be when we connect with brothers and sisters, when we connect with different churches, when we connect with different people, with different groups of people, with different races and cultures, and bring them together to celebrate more and more. You know, I was thinking how much more beautiful we can make this city when we bring the culture apart, when we start to operate in this way. You know, we try to do it, and different governances, they try to touch on this culture part, but oftentimes they fall a little bit short, right? Because there's money, or there's different interest groups, and there's all these different things that are pulling in the strings, right? But, you know, what if we had a world that was really motivated by love? A love for one another, a love for brother and sister, a love for other people, a love for the lowly, and a love for the high, and a love for all the people that are like us and all the people that are different. What if when we did commerce, right, it was with this motivation of how we can both prosper, how we can create something together, right? I'm buying something from you, but it's also helping me, right? What if we looked at business like that? What if we looked at music as how does this music pull us together? And we wrote books that really kind of sparked the imagination and help people to go to the next level in their life. What if all parts of our culture were motivated by a desire to love other people? To just bring love to other people, bring joy to other people, to build other people up. That we took away all this stuff that tears us apart, that divides us, that pulls someone else down, and we just started creating things and ways of life and ways of commerce and ways of entertainment and culture that lift up people, that lift up the divinity that's within each one of us. I mean, this is a beautiful city, and I just think, what could it be if we really come together with this new culture of heart? So a culture is a collective human expression of human consciousness through creative and social activities, right? So whatever we're experiencing in our culture is not just by happenstance, but it's all of us, right? All of us as individuals, when we get together, what comes out? So when we want to blame the culture, when we want to blame the government, when we want to blame society, we have to also look at the individual parts that are making it up, right? It's this collective expression of each one of us, right? So the higher we raise ourselves up, or the higher we raise up our family, the higher we raise up our neighborhoods, right? The more we can expect from our culture, right? The higher our culture can be. If we can rub off on someone else and encourage them and make them a little brighter, doesn't that also reflect in the culture? In our family pledge, we actually pledge to change this culture, right? One of the things that we devote ourselves is to change this culture. In the 7th pledge, it says, our family pledges to perfect a world based on the culture of heart, right? Perfect the world based on the culture of heart, not perfect the world on my nationality, on my money, on my government, on my military might, but on the culture of heart. Not, I have the best theology, I have the best ideas, but it's on the culture of heart. A culture that lives for the sake of others, a culture that expresses love and joy and happiness, that gets excited by ideas and shares it with others, and they get inspired in turn. This kind of culture would perfect the world, which is rooted in the original lineage, God's lineage, and by centering on true love. So this is our goal. This is one of the things we commit ourselves to. How can we affect the culture inside and out, every part of life? How can we make something new, something inspiring, something that people want to be a part of, people want to go hang out with you, want to connect with you, because when they connect, they feel better. They feel like they're more of God's son or daughter. They feel like they're more valued when they leave that room. So right now we're in this process, and this is what's been getting me, is of building our new church, of going into that new structure. And yesterday, after a long night and everything, and we went out with a building crew, and we were looking over the new church building we're looking at right now. And we just walked through it and just imagined, hey, what if these walls were down? What if that's down? And what would it look like? And then you start thinking about what would it be like for people to experience this when they walk in this way? How are they going to feel? What are they going to see? What are they going to smell? What people are going to greet them? What is going to be their experience, right? And when we're looking through this, it's not just like this building, but it's really an experience that people are going to have. What's going to touch them? What's going to inspire them? What's going to turn them off? What's going to make them confused? What's going to make it clear, right? So we've got to think about all these different components, right? And we're thinking about, oh, what if we do this here, but oh, that's going to stop the flow there. And so all these different elements. And I'm realizing more and more, right, all these elements are going to create a culture, are going to create an environment where God's love can dwell, because most importantly, this is the house of the Lord. This is a place where God can dwell. I was sitting last night and I was thinking all these different things. We've been thinking about the music and about the coffee service and the kids' room and the prayer room and all these different areas where people are going to meet God. And I thought, wow, most importantly, this is going to be a place where God gets to meet his kids and where we get to meet God, right? All day long, you might make little parts of your day to meet God, but church is a place where we're expecting it, right? And God is expecting us to show up. And so this is an opportunity to create the best environment that people meet God, and they get inspired by God, and they get encouraged by him, and they get reminded that they're his kids. And wow, how should this look? How should it feel if it's that place where kids and children are meeting God, and grandparents are meeting God, and single people are meeting God? What should that look and feel like? I got really excited by that, just thinking, wow, this is going to be a great opportunity, a great chance, and a great experience for everybody to meet God. And we're thinking about all these different things because it's not just a church building, it's not just a Sunday service. No, we're trying to create a culture of heart, right? We're trying to create a culture where people's whole lives are transformed by God, that every part of their life gets infused by love and inspiration and encouragement. Everything we do is going to bring benefit to someone else. Right? And so we're thinking, oh, we're going to have this music, and then how is it going to feel? And what if we do evening music and art classes and let people express themselves and put something on paper that's going to be beautiful, and dancing and making all that creative movement and all the celebrations from around the world, and thinking about the conversations and the discussions, the dialogue that is going to happen there. People uncovering them, understanding themselves and revealing themselves, and also coming to a better understanding of who they can be. What kind of pivotal conversations are going to happen in that room? What kind of marriages are going to be renewed? What kind of people are going to be inspired, right? And all these different little elements. How can we create it into a culture of heart? A culture where people are being transformed, they're being cleansed, they're being brought up to this higher level of who they could be. Because in the end, it's about transformation, right? It's not about people understanding God's word, in all the different languages and, all the different contexts, right? It's not about, just having a place where people have fun and connect with people. But essentially, the final point is how we're transforming people's hearts. Their whole lives, inside and out, being completely renewed, completely restored, completely reborn, right? This is what the culture of heart would look like, right? Our kids are in there, and they're growing in, and they're learning what it is to love people of all races, all cultures, all backgrounds. They're learning to appreciate all different types of music, all types of expressions, and they're learning to see the different flavors of God that are out there. And they're excited and inspired. And us as grown-ups, right, that we're starting to take away all the stuff we've absorbed from the world, all the stuff that kind of told us we weren't good enough, or told us what our differences were, or told us why we should be separated, or why we're better than someone else, or worse than someone else. And we got rid of all that and get renewed and restored into the likeness of God. We'd be transformed, right? This is what we're trying to build, right? This new kind of culture, this new whole person experience, connecting everything back to God. So just in thinking about the connections we're going to have. When I was growing up, we always talked about this culture of heart that we're building.
I didn't always know what it was, and sometimes I wondered, is this about the ballet and music, or is this about, religious practices? Is it about, attending God, and is it about how I vow and how I pray? Or, I kept trying to put it in one box, right? What would the culture of heart look like? And I used to be inspired by it, and then there was times when I thought, wow, there's no way I want to replicate our culture to other people, honestly, right? I was like, wow, this is this great idea, but what we're doing right now, I don't know if I want that to be repeated. And I had my ups and I had my downs. I had my inspirations and I had my doubts. But we have this opportunity right now, and we've been building it here as a community. And what is it going to look like? What do we want the kingdom of heaven to look like? What kind of culture are we building? What kind of love is being expressed here? What kind of inspirations are being expressed here? How are we becoming a better people? How are we becoming a more fruitful people? How are we expressing more love and joy? How are we inspiring one another? Because ultimately it's this culture of heart, right? It's not just about the music and the messages, but it's about the relationships that are forged. Relationships that are not just there, but that are bringing out the best in us. That meeting with younger and older, different types of people, that we would pull out the best in each one of our cultures, in each one of our experiences as people, right? That we would learn from one another, grow from one another, and we'd experience something brand new. This is a culture of heart that we're all hoping for, right? This new kind of love, this new kind of experience where we come together and show the world what is love. Because there's a lot of things that are equated with love right now that don't really look like love, right? There's a lot of experiences, and we've put the word, oh, love it, right? But it has nothing to do with love, right? A great new boba tea, right? Love it, but it doesn't necessarily mean love. Or maybe we really like someone and we say, I love you, but we don't really commit ourselves to their benefit, their goodness. We just feel good when we're around them, right? There's a lot of these ideas of what love is, and so we have to reintroduce what is God's ideal for love. What is a love that actually can be eternal? What is a love that can actually be beneficial for everybody involved in it? There's one idea of love, and then there's God's idea of love. It's not a religious one, but it's a love that actually seeks out the betterment of one another. That everybody leaves better for experiencing it. Nobody has regrets and resentments because of that love. That's the kind of love that this culture is all about. The culture of heart means living everyday life as an expression of the principle of living for the sake of others. With true love. The world based on the culture of heart refers to the one great enclosure embracing everything. That is the tribe of the realm of the heart. Right? This great embrace of all people, of all cultures, of all races, of all ethnicities, of all different expressions of God that have been out there for millennia, right? All these different ways that people have sought out God. We find a way to embrace it all. Living for the sake of others, lifting up one another, loving one another. This is a new kind of world that we can build, that we can create, that seeks out mutual prosperity, interdependence, and mutually shared values, that looks for how do we work together? How do we build something out of nothing? How do we build something out of this relationship? How do me and you meet and create something better? That when we leave, we both come out better. We both are benefited. We both have grown. But in the world, right, there's often all these different distractions, all these different roads we can go, all these different things vying for our attention. We're trying to build this culture of heart, but we really want some money, right? Or we really want some power and influence. Maybe we're not saying that's our motivation, but these things are pulling us, taking us away from our true motivation of love. Our true motivation. Why did I get that career in the first place? Well, it was to provide for my family and love them. Why did I, take that position in my business? Well, it wasn't just to have people under me, but it was because I thought I could make this a better work environment. I wanted to make it a better place where people wanted to come to work, right? Why did I become, part of the homeowners association? Well, it wasn't just to give tickets to all my neighbors, right? But it was to make this a more beautiful place where everybody wants to live. So we got to put that love back at the center, that remind ourselves what we're doing here. why we come together, why we donate, why we serve, why we volunteer, why we connect. Why do we want to meet? It's because we wanted to make this world better. So getting out of these distractions and getting back into connection with one another. Culture encompasses religion, food, what we wear, how we wear it, our language, our marriages, music, and what we believe is right and wrong, how we behave at the table, how we greet visitors, how we behave with loved ones, and a million other things, according to Christina de Rossi, an anthropologist. Right? So culture is all these different things. It's so many different things. It's how we live our life. It's how we greet one another. It's how we, share meals with one another. It's the music and what it's infused with and what it expresses, right? All these different aspects need to be touched, need to be encouraged, need to be uplifted. There's so many beautiful musics in the world, right? This weekend I got to try out all different musics, and in my room, I was listening to different musics, and it would bring me back to this time of my life or bring me up to this time of my life, right? And it was all different and varied. I was telling Lena, I said, we were so lucky when we were growing up. I know not everybody loves MTV, but I got to listen to a variety of music always, right? I wanted to listen to this one music video, and it meant I had to listen to like 10 other ones that I didn't really care for. But I also got exposed to all of them. This is how I know all the words to every NSYNC song, right? I didn't actually love NSYNC, but it was part of that whole thing, right? If I wanted to listen to my song, I had to listen to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears, and, all these different things. But I thought, in a sense, it was kind of cool because I got exposed to a variety of stuff. Instead of, my kids are on YouTube now, and they can just select exactly what they like. And they don't like it, they're 4 seconds into a video, they just skip to the next one. And I thought, they won't get to express or experience all these different things. Except they do have a mom and a dad, and I like to play whatever music I want to play. So they get that expression. But, this idea that we need to be experiencing all the flavors of love, all the flavors of expression that are out there. God put that all out there for us to experience this whole wide world. And I was looking up the culture of heart, and I found all these things. The culture of the heart. That comes up a lot online. Different groups and organizations have taken this on. In a culture of the heart, relationships satisfy both personal and group responsibility. Through the eyes of the heart, individual and group responsibilities are rarely in contradiction, because the heart knows that personal identity is based on and upon one's participation in a community or group. Right? So the benefit of the individual is the benefit of the group, and vice versa. When my community prospers, when my family does well, I do well too, right? And this goes against the stark individualism, right? There's a place for individualism, but it needs to be inside this greater context, right? We should express ourselves. We shouldn't conform to one identity, but we should find how does it collaborate with the group. And so this is a different kind of culture, a culture where we think, oh, my benefit, my love, my joy is tied in with the joy of others. When others are happy, when others are filled, when others are prospering, then I can prosper as well. And so we want to create this kind of culture. Now this came from back in 1930s in China. This actually Dutch guy was out in China, and he was living there. He did escape before communism kind of took over, but he was experiencing China's culture. And this is some things he had to say, and I thought there are some interesting expressions here. So the corrupting and demeaning materialism of Western culture destroys true compassion and humanity, as it destroys imagination and the realization of love, which is the main creative and upholding force in the world. And I think there's, he might be overly critical, but I think there are, just too much focus on materialism does destroy this, right? When the pursuit of profit is the only motivation, then we stop pursuing the creative outlets and the loving inspiration of why we create in the first place, right? So it just needs to be put back in order. Love needs to be the motivator, but I loved this idea that love is what gives the imagination a spark of creativity to move forth the world. right? When we have love as a motivating force, it moves us into a creative expression. But he goes on to say, and he says, true culture is basically a culture of the heart. That's what he said. A culture of the heart, which is the only true and lasting culture. The culture of the heart promotes a favorable assessment of one's fellow men, a love of all that is beautiful, and a loathing of all brutality and violence. It promotes etiquette, politeness, and charming behavior. It is to be found in both cottages and castles. It transcends all nations and cultures. Right? This is a culture of heart, right? This thing that can be found in the richest home, right? They can live with etiquette and charm, and the poorest hut can be filled with charm and etiquette and good mannerism, right? It's a culture of heart. It's not about whether or not they achieve success, right, in material sense, but it was about how they cultivate the heart. And actually, he's saying this should be for all people, all cultures, all types of people, right? Beyond all nationalities, we can live with a culture of heart, a culture that seeks out the benefit of others, that acknowledges the value of our fellow man, that wants to bring out all beauty and love and joy. It promotes etiquette, politeness, and a charming behavior. I love that. Like, you know, not just being polite, you know, at the table and you know, quiet and, you know, but charming, right? It's a warmth of politeness. It's a warmth of that kindness, right? And that should be part of our everyday life. We should be teaching our kids, right? Etiquette and politeness and how to be charming. Sometimes I get worried, actually, with Kyler. He throws on his charm when he does something a little bit naughty. I go, oh no, that's trouble. So you gotta have it in with the etiquette as well, right? But it's really a beautiful thing, right? How can we create this culture of the heart? True Family Values, a book written by Andrew Wilson. It says, nevertheless, God created us with the heart as the central motivating element in all our lives. We're meant to live in a culture where the heart can be freely expressed and its achievements glorified. Right? That the heart is the central motivation for our life. My desire to love you. My desire to bring out the best in you. My desire to serve you and bring joy to you. Right? The whole motivation of all of creation was God's desire to bring joy to you. And then see that joy on your face and go, wow, I'm happy. Right? For that one little smile of God's child who created everything. That's a motivation for all of creation, for every mountain that's lifted up high, for every tree that's planted, every bird in the sky, all the fish in the sea, right, was for that purpose. So love was a motivating purpose. And what if that was a motivating purpose for our society, for our neighbors, for our businesses, for our governments, to see the benefit of the people? To see the people flourish, for them to pursue happiness, for them to have that freedom and ability to pursue true happiness. Right? This is the goal, the intention that our mayors and our district leaders, right, all these people have their signs up. I hope that they just have this desire. How can I make Mobile better? How can I make my counties better? How can I make my little neighborhoods better places to live? And finally, in Proverbs 21:21, it says, whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor. So it's these two things that we need to do, brothers and sisters, to pursue righteousness, a good lifestyle, a principled lifestyle, a lifestyle that respects God and those around us, and do it with love. Right? Pursue love. Chase after love. Create love. Build love in every relationship you have. When you're with your friends, when you're with your spouse, when you're with your kids, look them in the eye and pull out that love. Encourage them, uplift them, bring out their best qualities so that they shine with love. And when we do this, when we pursue righteousness and love, we find all of life, we find our prosperity, and we find honor. But it's in the right order. And that's what the culture of heart is all about. It conveys, or it contains everything. It contains your financial freedom. It conveys or contains a better political system. It contains, all the different cultural expressions, arts and music. It contains all the food and housing and all those different things. But it's focused on love and righteousness. An understanding of love and righteousness. How we can do this in the right way, in a correct way, in a way that respects all people. And this is what the culture of heart is. And so we're going to be exploring this in the next few weeks and thinking about this. But I wanted to remind us, because for me growing up, this was the big thing. I thought, I don't hear enough about the culture of heart. What is it we're building? What am I giving my life to? Why do I come here every week? You know, what is it that we're trying to preach and teach? It's not just to get someone to accept my ideology, but it's how to help people live a better life. How to make better individuals, better families, better couples, better colleagues, better businesses, better community centers. How can we make better music that inspires and uplifts us? How can we create greater cuisines that are filled with God's love? And when we sit down at the table, we're so excited to meet each other. This is what it's all about. This is the culture of heart. And this is why our church is here. So I want to encourage you this week to get out your paintbrushes, get out your scrapers, start looking at how you can make a better culture. How you can be a part of building this culture of heart. How you can reach out to your neighbors, how you can reach out to your family. Maybe you've got to cleanse yourself first. Maybe you've got to realize, man, I've had kind of a dark view on this all. I've kind of given up, and I've got to get right with God, because there was this dream in my heart. I packed it away, but I want to unpack it. I want to uncover it and see it again. And I want to look at how we can contribute, work together to create a community that conveys God's love to our community, that conveys that hope to others, that people can come here and go, man, I was feeling down and out, but then I came here and I felt renewed, I felt restored. I met God face to face. I saw myself for who I truly was, and I believe I can be that person again. This is a community that we want to build, brothers and sisters, and I'm so excited to build it together with each one of you, to have your expressions and create a place where love dominates, where love controls, where love opens up doors, where love inspires and helps people reimagine life. Let's build a culture of heart, and let's do it together.